Welcome everybody to our second AI in 30. As you know, there's a series of events that we are going to have trying to focus on AI tools that are out there and on the uses that we as educators, but also as learners at the same time, and some of them as researchers and faculty, we can actually do. Today we have Notebook LM, and our focus today is going to be on how can we use this tool from Google to support learning, but also as teachers, what kind of decisions can we make that are going to find very good uses in this tool, in this AI tool. This series runs through this fall. There's going to be one every couple of weeks. And then we have one in November and one in December because of the holidays and end of the semester. We didn't want to make November too packed with those. Our current session is on Notebook LM. The next one we will move into looking into Blackboard and what are the AI tools that are built into Blackboard for us to use. We are going to do today kind of like an exploration of what Notebook LM can do in order to support your teaching and learning. Just for transparency and being upfront, Notebook LM has also a lot of features and a lot of uses that can support with research, but today we are not going to focus on those. On November 7th, Dr. Devin Scott and myself, we are going to have a session on AI and scholarship of teaching and learning. And in that, we will definitely address some of these uses from this tool and other tools. Also consider the bigger picture around research and AI tools. One thing that we're going to do today is go into Notebook LM and start showing what's there. I'm going to focus on what's available on the free plan. So there are different plans, like from enterprise, institutional, for business, but the free plan has a lot of capabilities that are available to you and your students. So keep that in mind when thinking about what we're seeing today. Some of the features may be slightly different if you have a different Notebook LM plan or a different Google type of account. And then we will provide some quick tips and recommendations at the end. For Notebook LM, I will say that it's probably, and I'm gonna go on a limb here. I will say to me is one of the most useful tools currently for teaching and learning. We'll see why in a minute, but in reality, it has brought up something that's not what they intended to do in the beginning. So as you see in that description, Notebook LM is described as a AI-powered research assistant. These are Google's words on describing the tool. But in reality, what it has created is an opportunity for us to work with actual sources and use the tool to help analyze, to help create different ways to look at the material, and to make sure that all that is grounded on the sources that are being used. So if you think about it, this is something we as educators have done forever. Find appropriate, good sources that have the quality or the approach we want to actually bring with the students, provide it for our students, let students read, go through it, study, break it down, reflect, and then bring it together through lectures, through discussions, through different type of activities that allow for us to kind of like promote those critical thinking skills and those deeper learning that it's part of higher education. So what the tool actually ended up providing was so much more than what it was intended to, that Google keeps improving this tool. And as you will see today, even today, I discovered this morning on all my preparation that I had done for the last couple of weeks, that there are new features that are being rolled out. So I will make a note of those. But if you are using this tool, if you are interested in this tool, always keep an eye on it, because Google keeps improving these based on what people are doing and also what people are giving us feedback of what the tool can do. Why Notebook LM was selected for this series is because it provides for us the opportunity to create things that normally take a lot of time for us to create. Study aids, tailored reports, the idea of presenting multimodal access to the content, personalized interactive engagement, which is something that it's great to actually try to provide, but it's not so easy to actually create itself because we all have pressures of time, of workload, etc. A lot of the time we don't get to do some of these things that are so necessary in education. We all agree, but the problem in the day-to-day is we don't always have the time, or we don't always have all the skills that we need, or we don't always have a team that we work with that has the time and the skills. So for different reasons, we all have been trying to do more, but not kind of like being able to. And I can tell you that NotebookLM is going to be the tool that gives you a lot of more use of your academic skills, as you will see in a second, and a lot of products that can be really good to improve student learning, critical thinking, engagement. You'll see it. So for today, the skill that I think is the focus of these of using this tool, not only for promoting it, but also that requires it. So you will see that I am going to make a couple of two sections here. What this tool represents for educators, what this tool represents for learners. And sometimes we educators are also learners, so keep that in mind. For educators, it represents a way to promote critical thinking and also to bring critical thinking in a lot of the things we do. So we use critical thinking when we curate resources and, like source materials that we think are appropriate for our courses, when we're designing, when we are, like modeling ethical and responsible use of different tools and of our professional, like discipline and area, we are all using that skill that has become today absolutely fundamental. And AI is bringing it more to the forefront if possible. From a learner's perspective, what we have is the possibility to present the learners with a tool that helps them evaluate source materials that are reliable, how reliable that output is, to critically review the content, to formulate questions that are effective, to actually see what kind of questions could be effective and then learn how to do that. They help them with synthesizing and connecting information, identifying gaps, or what areas of the content are more complex, and kind of like trying to address that, trying to learn that in a different way, and also engage in what we call self-regulated learning. NotebookLM is going to allow us to create a space, and for students, even if we do not create it as faculty, to go in and use the source material and kind of like chew through it, dig deeper into what the material is bringing up, creating connections and creating different ways to engage with that material. How is that going to happen? So let me introduce NotebookLM. I'm going to jump into the platform. So I'm going to start sharing for a little bit, and I'm going to share my screen on NotebookLM. I'm going to assume that many of you may not have used it a lot. So I'm going to just run through the basics. This is what you see when you access. This is what you need. You need a Google account. As you know, a Google account can be either created in Google, or you can use any email account to create a Google account. So you don't necessarily need to create a new email that you need to then maintain and keep attention to. You can use your actual email, personal email or professional email to create a Google account. So let me share that, and then we'll talk in a second about what we're looking at. Okay, so what you're going to be seeing is the NotebookLM dashboard. This is one of my free accounts. And basically, it presents you with a dashboard. You basically have a number of things on the top right corner that are about the settings that tells you how do you want to interact with these screens. So all that is about personalization of how you want to see this dashboard. These feature notebooks is a new thing that was rolled out during the summer. These are big companies like The Economist or, like Our World in Data web pages that have big databases, and they've created big notebooks to bring all these together and help people explore a topic, the history of a moment in time or a whole period in time through a lot of documents that have been used to create the notebook. Users cannot now create feature notebooks. So that's one thing that you need to know. This is kind of like a way for Google to show people what it could be there and probably to monetize part of this tool. But we as personal account users, we don't need to worry about that. We can access them and we can explore them, but we cannot create them yet. Then you have your notebooks. So these are my notebooks that I've created. And, you know, I start by creating a new notebook right here. On the free account, you can have up to 100 notebooks right now. And we're going to see what a notebook is in a second. So when you create a notebook, the first thing that you're going to see is what do you want to have as sources in this notebook, okay? And you got several options. You can upload your own sources of a certain kind. Think text. These are all based on large language models. So basically, they use text to connect with the information. So you can upload PDFs, TXT documents, so not Microsoft Doc documents, Markdown documents, even audio documents in MP3 format. You can also upload Google Docs. It's a Google product, so they created their own instance here to upload Google Docs and Google Slides. You can upload websites. So if you have a link to a website, you can upload it and connect it to your workbook, or YouTube videos for now. This is been like that for a while, but I'm pretty sure that they will increase the number of tools they can interact with. And then you can also copy paste text that you have, and you can put it here, and it will create it. It will add it as a source. The amount of sources for the free account right now is 50. So you could take 50 PDFs on one topic and load it and create a notebook with those 50 PDFs. For websites, you definitely want to use websites that are not password protected, that are not that don't have a paywall or any element that prevents other tools to access the website. So, for example, to give you an idea, our UTHSC website, our TLC website, has a lot of documents that are public. And those documents can be seen, can be read by, you know, those pages can be read by NotebookLM, but other places are not. So if you load one of those pages, you will see that there's not much content there because it cannot read what's inside. The same thing happens with some documents like PDFs. If your PDF is a scan of a textbook chapter, and you did not use the PDF tools, the Adobe PDF tools to make the text recognizable, then the tool cannot read the image itself yet. I'm always going to add yet because these things change. So to create the this workbook, I'm going to choose some files that I prepare on Active Learning. So I have a PDF, a couple of PDFs. One of them is an article. The other one is a cheat sheet on Active Learning, and I'm going to add them. As you see, automatically my notebook kind of like starts working. My sources are now here. So we're going to be on the left for now. I can add more sources. So I can kind of like come here. I got a number of websites that I have selected, and I am going to paste the URLs here. So if you have already done the work to find them out, you can add them one by one if you are finding new stuff as you go or complementing your notebook. Or if you have them, you just copy, paste them, and insert. Now the tool is reading through what it can see in those websites. As you see, it's going to reorganize the sources alphabetically. So, you know, it doesn't care about what kind of source it is. It will do it alphabetically. And I'm also going to add a video, a YouTube video, so you see what happens with these kind of sources when you add, for example, a video. So I'm going to add a YouTube video. I have the URL. And it is going to read through it, and then it's going to organize the sources. In this case, keeps being alphabetically. So on the sources side, so you know, the source, it's going to list all the texts that have been captured through the source. and it doesn't have a lot of formatting. So if there are links there, it will preserve the links, but there's not a lot of formatting. It's not like opening a document. This is kind of like the raw content organized in order. Some of the times you're gonna see that, like if it's a PDF, for example, you're gonna see all the text organized in order, like an article in this case. This is what this article is. If it's a video, if it's a YouTube video, the video is here. So imagine your students don't need to actually go now to YouTube, get distracted. The video will be projected here. Not only that, the video is projected here because YouTube generates automatic captions and transcripts. The transcription of the video will be below as text, because what the tool is looking at is the text. However, the video is here for you, for your use as part of the use of the tool. So as you see, you can load a number of sources, and these sources now become the core of what this notebook is. On the second section, this central section, you have the chat. The chat is like any other AI tool, like ChatGPT, Utiverse, Gemini, Copilot. You have a space where you can actually talk with the tool. The difference in NotebookLM is that the tool only specifically addresses what's on the sources. So it uses a logic model, but it becomes very knowledgeable about the sources that you load. So any question I ask here in the chat, it's going to actually be referred to the sources. So I'm going to ask a question about active learning. So what are the benefits of active learning? And I'm going to let it run it. And one thing is going to happen, which makes this tool very interesting to me from an academic point of view. In the answer, there is going to be references to where, in which source, and where can I find the information that's being used there. So as you see, to compose this first, statement, there are two places where these can be found, and they are referred to the sources that you have here, and it keeps going for as long as that is. So if I want to read around where, it helps in motivating students for further study, I just need to go here and then, see what the source is telling me. As you see, the source is quoted in the bottom with the name that we have here. That's another thing. You can rename these sources so you can identify them easy on your sources area. So another thing you can do on the free account, and this is you just interacting with the information yourself or your students using the sources that you provide, is to create a mind map of this content, to add notes, to create notes for yourself. So if I've created these, I can leave notes here for myself. If I'm doing research or I'm preparing some material for my courses and I'm working with these sources, I can create this space as my working space. So that's one way to do it. The other one is an audio overview, and we'll talk about that in a second. Audio overviews are, to me, the first element that blew my mind from this tool. So you'll see how it goes. But this is kind of like the chat window. This is your interactive window with the tool about the sources. All of this is constrained and contained there. The third part of the notebook is the studio. And the studio is here for you to create different ways to engage with the content. And some of those ways are automatic. So I'm going to start clicking on things. I want to get a mind map of what my sources represent around the context of active learning, but I also could choose which sources to use. So I'm not going to use the short 5-minute video. I'm not going to use the cheat sheet about active learning. I'm just going to be using the tools that are talking a little bit more in general about what active learning is and the activities. So I will click on that, and that will start generating. Some of these studio tools are very fast, under a minute. Some of them, like the audio overviews and the video overviews, may take up to 5 minutes to generate. But again, it's very short compared to what it will take to do most of these. As you see, I've generated my mind map over 4 sources. It's complete, and once I have it, I can actually check it out. So this is my mind map over the sources that I enter. It tells me what has it decided to break it down into. These are called toolkits. This is a decision that the engine does based on the logic of the materials. Then active learning definition on core elements, evidence for effectiveness. It decided to break it down like that because probably the sources are conducive to do that. So I am going to actually check the part that I'm more interested in seeing is how has it broken down the learning definition on core elements. So this is a bigger breakdown, simplified of what active learning is. And then, like what is the general benefits. I can now either keep looking here to get an idea about these, and I say, how does this really improve thinking and writing? So I can click here on the actual mind map, and it will take me back to the chat. So by clicking there, I ask the question, discuss what these sources say about improvements in thinking and writing. So the tool has now created for me a prompt about what the sources really are bringing up on that element of the mind map. Then I can go back to the mind map, or I can, let it continue here in the chat to explore. So as you see, that students have now the possibility to explore topics in a very wide range of ways. It's very interesting. Audio overviews. If you have used NotebookLM and you haven't used it in more than 7 days, you may not have seen these features yet. So the audio overview is going to create an audio discussion of some kind, you'll see in a second, about the sources. So I selected these 4, and I'm going to also create a different kind of audio overview. By clicking, it creates a default audio overview. This will be a podcast style with 2 natural voices, a male and a female voice, that are talking very upbeat and interactively about the content. But I also can do other things. I can customize that audio overview. This was rolled out last week. So the deep dive is the audio overview we all know. Everybody that has used NotebookLM for the last, year, a little bit more, knows the deep dive. If you have seen some of our resources for the TLC, we've used it to create some of these elements. But now you have other options here, a debate, a critique, a brief. This is all depending on what you need from those sources, okay? This is kind of like how you interact with these elements. So you will create that. You can customize it here. You can give it instructions about what you specifically want, and you can practice to see if the tool really understood what you were going for and improve your prompt and regenerate. The video overview, right now, it only creates explainer video. So your explainer video, basically, it makes about 5-6 minutes video that explains a little bit of what the content is. And I will show you some generated example, but I wanted you to see that it starts generating and you just leave it there. And then 5-10 minutes from now, all those things will be created. The same, you can customize. You can also select the language now. So these are new elements that have been added. Finally, there is a section about creating reports. And this section was rolled out yesterday. So until yesterday, I had a different way to interact with this. But if you access today, you create an account today, chances are it's already going to be rolled in to your account. Some of us are still waiting in some of our even paid accounts to get this functionality. But you can now create your own. You can do a briefing doc, which was something that you could do, or a study guide. You can do a blog post. You can do a program proposal. These are all suggested by the AI based on your sources. So depending on the sources you're putting in, it will suggest you all the different formats. And if you click in one of these, it will do it for you. So if I create on the blog post, it will tell me what prompt is going to use. So I can change this prompt. If I wanted to focus in a different element, I can just edit this prompt and hit it. And it will generate something that reads like a blog post. It's this one is going to generate a lot of controversy among educators, as you can imagine. These things take time in generating, so I'm going to show you how some of those may turn out very quickly. This is a notebook that I generated to share with students, and it has already some of these elements that are here. So this is the podcast style overview.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a question that's, well, really critical for every educator, especially those of you shaping the next generation of health professionals. How do we really know what works best in teaching? I mean, we all strive to be effective, right? To make a profound difference, but what truly moves the needle for student learning? So we're diving deep.
So that's the introduction to the deep dive, which sounds very much like a podcast, and it runs like that. And this is one of the videos that could be generated about the topic. In this case, I only use one source because it was a source that I was interested in generating very specific materials about. This is the explainer video.
All right, let's get into it. We tend to think of amazing teaching as this kind of magic, right? Something only a few gifted people can do. But what if I told you there's actually a science to it, a blueprint? Considers your own personal goals.
It changes slides. It gives kind of like the key points there for following through. It's not like brilliant graphics or anything like that, but it's kind of like a audio and video and text accompanying each other. So as you see, there are a number of things that you can actually do in order to make it useful. Before I finish, because time always runs short for us in these 30-minute sessions, I'm going to show you something that you're going to have the opportunity to explore. I've included this in our toolkit for today's session, and I will be sharing this with you after our meeting. So I've created a NotebookLM notebook that shows you how to use NotebookLM, the different features, what you can use it for in teaching and learning, and you will see that I am able to share that notebook and make it public. When you access, you will be able to interact with the chat. You will be able to see what's here, but not change it because it's my notebook, not yours. I'm sharing it with you. And unless I am collaborating and giving you access, you only can use what's already there created. And you will be able to still interact with the chat and ask questions that are pertinent to you. I'm going to stop here because there's a lot that we could be saying about NotebookLM. Hopefully that gave you kind of like the layout. And please, if you get any questions, I'm going to go through the chat in a second, but you can unmute yourself and you can actually like ask the question. I'm going to post some tips there for you to consider what we do the discussion. I'm going to go through the chat a little bit and go with the last one, team. KB articles to videos. It will generate a great video, but it doesn't use the same uploaded images, Tim. That is correct. So if the images are easily accessible in the document that you upload, it may be able to use it. If they are not, it may not. And I guess that it depends on the kind of image. So I don't know still enough about the ins and outs of the video making feature because it's very early. They premiered like a month ago and they still only do the explainer video. Eventually, they are going to have different kinds of videos. So the problem is that it doesn't allow you to edit, and it doesn't allow you to put exactly the graphics you want. It generates it automatically. So there's a loss of control right there on our part because this is not meant to be a tool for creation necessarily, like for edited video that you then can put out there as a training video. So this is more like a tool for exploring the content itself, and this is what the big like thing about NotebookLM is for now. Again, Thaddeus, I've noticed saves the sources into the notebook, but it doesn't save the chat responses. If it's your notebook, you can actually keep the chat going on. But if it refreshes at any time, the chat is gone, you can save the chat as a note. So once you are in the chat and you get a response, you get the option to save as a note. So that response can be saved as one of your notes. You can also copy paste it and keep a file for that, or copy and create a note and add multiple responses in the same note. So there is a way to keep that, but it is true. It's not meant to be ongoing conversation as it is with ChatGPT or some of the other things. PD guides for different documents. How to share the tool with your students? It's sharing the notebook. So what you share is the notebook. The notebook is going to allow for you to share in two different ways. You can either share with specific email accounts. So you share with their email that they use as a Google account, or you share with anybody with the link. So if you share with anybody that has an email account, you're giving them permission to go into your notebook and also make changes. If you share it with anybody with the link, they can only access the chat window to interact and whatever notes or studio products you've generated on the right column. Anybody else? Any other questions? Well, we're reaching time faster than I thought. So I'm gonna put this here, but I will also follow up sending you our TLC survey. Your feedback is really important to us to actually know if you're getting what you need. Please reach out. I'm really passionate about the use of AI tools in teaching and learning specifically. If you are also interested in what the research capabilities are, that's a longer, different conversation. As I told you, November 7th, we will have a webinar specifically on AI and scholarship of teaching and learning and how those two things are working right now and what kind of like conversations are happening around that. So keep that in mind. And also remember that there's other events on this series. In a couple of weeks, we will have Jen Stewart from our ITS team talking about the Blackboard tools for, like using AI inside of Blackboard. Blackboard has added a number of tools there that are available to all of us. So that's going to be a great presentation to actually see what's already in-house that you can start using to help out with your courses that are in Blackboard. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending. I hope that you have a great day and reach out with any questions you may have after this. I know it's been short, but at least we got to introduce a little bit of the tool and what it can do. Hopefully the toolkit helps you to explore that further. You all have a great day.